was 223 days ago we started this campaign with the goal of winning the Republican nomination for Secretary of State. During that time, I traveled thousands of miles, attended hundreds of events, and met thousands of amazing people. Tonight has shown that hard work still counts for something in Illinois politics.
That is State Representative Dan Brady, who beat Sangamon County resident John Milheiser in the Republican race for Secretary of State. Now it's going to be Dan Brady and Democrats Alexi Janulius, who secured the nomination for the Democrats in the November election. Of course, we don't know what kind of third-party candidates there may be, but in this state, we have a two-party race as of right now, and Dan Brady joins us here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. Good morning, Representative. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Greg, and good morning to you. It's a pleasure to be with you on your show.
Absolutely, and I imagine we'll talk quite a bit in the months ahead leading up to November. Of course, the Secretary of State's office does a whole bunch of things. People interact with it on a regular basis, be it getting a driver's license, getting a state-issued ID, getting their driver's license stickers, and a variety of other things. What do you think is most unknown about the Secretary of State's office that people should know?
Well, I think probably most people are surprised to hear that the Secretary of State is the chief record keeper of the state of Illinois, and in particular is the chief librarian of the state of Illinois and oversees, if you will, libraries. Also, I think there's a bit of a surprise with the limited role that the Secretary of State's office does play when it comes to elections and registering people to vote.
So, yeah, those are just some of the things, and I imagine we'll hear a lot more about all of that as the campaign progresses. But when it comes to those other things that people interact with the Secretary of State on a regular basis, I mean, you're surely aware of all of the, anecdotes of people waiting in long lines, either in the rain, in the snow, in the heat, trying to get their business done with the Secretary of State's office. How do we shore that up?
Well, one of the ways that I had talked about and continue to talk about and will push for when elected the next Secretary of State of Illinois is the concept of technology. And that concept of technology, whether it's digital, whether it's some other forms of technology and portals, remote ways to be able to do things, more online services even, being able to do. And there has been some improvement in those areas over the course of the campaign, quite frankly. And I've been a representative who's had a great deal of interaction with the office, with the Secretary of State's office on a variety of issues, in particular with Secretary White and some of his key staff. But when you drill down to it, that great exposure that you indicated and what people know the office for the most is driver-related services. When you have over 96 facilities across the state of Illinois that offer different levels of that service in driver services and the facilities themselves, that's where those lines have developed, the problems have developed. And quite frankly, before you get into even the side of technology that needs to be improved, we've got to look at fully staffing those facilities. And also we've got to look at cross-training for those employees, meaning that those employees in those facilities have a broader scope of the operations of what the office does right there, local offices. Because when people come into those offices and somebody's not there from the Secretary of State side of things, they get told, so-and-so's not here, not sure what this person does, you're going to have to come back. And that's one area we can start to rectify very quickly.
What do you think is the biggest hurdle in doing that? A lot of times I hear people that work for state government, they say, I tried doing something, somebody stopped me and said that's not my job description, it's not in their contract. We hear that a lot too. I don't have to do that. That's not outlined in my contract. Is that a hurdle to this idea of cross-training, getting people more acclimated to be there to serve the people rather than just carved out what's in their contract, so to speak?
Certainly, Greg, that could be an issue. But I think you start with the leadership side of things and hands-on. And I think when those individuals that would work there get to know and see somebody like Dan Brady, a Secretary of State, and my interaction with them being out at those facilities, not behind some desk somewhere in Chicago or Springfield, but out with those hardworking men and women in those areas of those offices, and they see that, hey, I can work with this guy, I can work for this guy, and he's interested in what I'm doing. He's going to help me to do it better. He's going to make my job to provide service to the public better and easier, which is going to make me feel better about being there and helping the general public. And so that's something that really is the communication side of things that you can start with. And that isn't something that's a big investment from the taxpayer side of things. And so you could start right there. The other thing I talked about in the campaign, and I want to continue to build on, is working and partnering with our community colleges. These facilities, many of these facilities, we prioritize where the high volume traffic is. We look at the problems and why they're occurring with the lines, the waits, especially of those areas, of those offices. Let's look to a community college. Everybody, first off, the word community. And most people know what that community college is. What those community colleges offer is a variety of things that these offices need. Technology, already built in, accessibility, safety, and a area in which all these community colleges has public transportation built into it. And the taxpayers are already paying for it. So what better area to explore than to look at, hey, maybe we lease space with these community colleges. Most of them have space they would like to lease. And we look at partnering with them. In my area right here, in my legislative district, Heartland Community Colleges, already is involved in a program for CDL, commercial driver's license, from the standpoint of training because of the space they have available, training courses there at the college. So a lot of things that we can look at, but you have to have someone who's going to, and no pun intended, drive the issues from the standpoint of let's look at new ways to do business.
We're talking with State Representative Dan Brady. He secured the GOP nomination for Secretary of State for the November election after Tuesday's primary. We could talk about a lot more of this, and I expect to everything from the possibility of a digital driver's license to this expanding more the idea of working with community colleges as well. But one thing that has been brought up by your opponents, the Democrat Alexi Giannoulias, in the campaign for the Democratic primary, he talked about a digital driver's license and making that a possibility. What do you think most distinguishes you from Alexi Giannoulias?
I think number one would be the interaction exposure to the office. Let's just focus in on one area, organ and tissue donation, which the Secretary of State's office is responsible for in the state of Illinois, and the actual donor registry that they keep. Over 300,000 people a year are waiting for an organ or tissue transplant in the state. And the Secretary of State's office, at one time, Illinois was the number one in organ tissue donation in the country. That's changed over the years and slipped. We need to come back and promote that. And I think that interaction, legislation I've sponsored and been part of, 16 to 17-year-olds being on that donor registry with a parental opt-out, first-person consent, and also focusing very much in on distracted driving. In my time as county coroner and state representative, but in particular as coroner, I was very passionate about how we can teach our young people from a curriculum side of things more about what a 2,000-pound vehicle does when you get in trouble with it. And part of that could be the Secretary of State's office with their own police force that they have, yes, Capitol Security, but road investigators being back in the classroom to let those students know what it's about. What's a title? What's it mean to get that title, which takes quite a lengthy time to the lien holders via the Secretary of State's office? What's it mean with administrative services? You get yourself in trouble from a DUI standpoint. All those type of things is an education mode that I think has lied a little dormant and needs to be brought back to the forefront from an education standpoint. I certainly am very passionate about all those things I just said and have an energy level to get that word out and help educate. It's a big part of the Secretary of State's office.
Dan Brady is a state representative, also a Republican candidate for the Secretary of State's office after Tuesday's primary. So we'll talk more about all of that in the months ahead. But you're wearing two hats right now, not just as the Secretary of State candidate for the Republicans, but you're a state representative. We got a possible special session coming up here soon. The governor wants to focus on abortion. What else do you think should take precedence when you guys do come back once that's announced?
Well, I look at this right now, obviously the timing, right after a primary election, dealing with an issue that's going to be turned back to the states. And what we do on whatever day we come back isn't going to change the situation of the abortion issue in Illinois. What it's going to be is a political ploy to try and get people on, records about general elections. And that doesn't serve the public well, in my opinion. And it's a waste of the taxpayer money in which to do it.
State Representative Dan Brady, we will definitely be talking again in the near future. Congrats again, and we'll connect soon.
Thank you,
all right.
Greg. I certainly appreciate it. Always good to talk to you. Look forward to talking again soon.
Absolutely. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7.